Hello, Justin Young. Um, UF 100, Section 14. This is why history is. How do historians think of history? And I wanted to start my presentation off with, most of my experience with history has been flashcards, has been memorizing facts, been memorizing people for their names and their times, not necessarily what they did or what the significance of it was. And I really honestly had a hard time learning history when it came down to that. Right, it was just straight memorizing and tests, and that's just I'm not the best test taker, so I struggled a lot with that. But I think that history can be thought of as more than just. Hey, my first idea is how history is more than just who and when, which is mostly what I've learned. I'd say that history is more. It's like five or six different categories, and it's an easy way to remember. This is the five R's from our notes from I believe it was the first of the month, and it's rememberable, right? Like what took place, what famous events happened, right? Like this is kind of the basic flashcard information. But then you got to go below the surface and find out what the result was, right? Like what changed, what started because of it, did something end because of this, and you ought to know like what is this history event revealed to you, right? Like what can we learn from this person's actions from their perspective rather than the typical our perspective. I think that's a really big key concept that everyone in the education system teaches one basis, one bias, and it's all black and white one way. So I think that it's important to know what other people were going through at that time to make them do these crazy things. For instance, another the last two is how this response will be remembered, right? Like how will this action carry on in history or in the future, right? Did it start 10 years ago and happen to even have an effect 10 years later? Like how will it be remembered? And the last one is kind of the response and the ripple effect, right? Like kind of like remembered, but it's more of the direct response of like what happened specifically in that area. And my second point would be, you guys have brought it up a lot, is teaching versus preaching. I actually really enjoy this method. I think that teaching does more than the basic and societal facts. It kind of helps you think outside the norm and think outside the comfort zone of that you're used to. And preaching has been the way I've been taught history, which is just forcing you information. It's a one-way teaching style. It involves memorizing. It involves facts. It involves just really basic bare knowledge. So yeah, those are my two ideas, and yeah.